Let's go Ravens! The hours are ticking by, and I must confess that I'm anxious to see the Ravens defeat the Steelers in this Sunday's game. Whenever we face them, I get butterflies in my stomach, but this time I'm feeling very optimistic. If you also believe that we will win this game, hit the like button hard. If possible, write something like, "Go Lamar Jackson! We need you." Yes, my friends, this is without a doubt one of the most intense rivalries in the NFL. We have some important updates to pass on to you, and we wish Mark Andrews good energy. Now talking about tomorrow's game. The stakes are high, the history is bitter, and we can expect anything. With the Ravens as 3.5-point favorites and an over-under set at 46.5 points, this game has all the ingredients to be exciting. Before we dive into what's at stake, let's analyze the latest updates and the keys to Baltimore's victory. First, the injury report. On the Steelers' side, edge rusher Alex Highsmith is officially out with a sprained ankle suffered during the last game. Highsmith's absence leaves a notable hole in Pittsburgh's defense, but Nick Herbig, who has been sidelined for most of the season, will return. Herbig's stats are modest, with just 8 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and 1 recovery in 4 games this year. While Herbig is a talent to watch, the Steelers' defense won't be at full strength without Highsmith. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: Baltimore's recent struggles against Pittsburgh. Since 2020, the Ravens are a shocking 1-7 against their rivals. Last season was particularly painful, with losses in both matchups. Back in January, backup quarterback Tyler Huntley was in command. But in October, even with a healthy Lamar Jackson, the Ravens couldn't get the job done. It's a frustrating trend for Baltimore, and one that has left fans wondering what it will take to break the Steelers' dominance. But here's the thing: the past doesn't determine the future. As the host of the preview mentioned, just because Baltimore has struggled doesn't mean they're destined to keep losing. History is history, and the Ravens need to leave it behind as they focus on the team they're facing this week. This is a fresh game with a fresh set of opportunities, and the Ravens have the talent to rewrite the narrative. The first key to victory for Baltimore is simple but crucial: avoid turnovers. Lamar Jackson has been stellar for most of the season, but turnovers have been a recurring issue in key losses. Last year against Pittsburgh, Jackson threw an interception and lost a fumble, mistakes that proved costly. The Steelers' defense is one of the league's best at forcing turnovers, with 10 interceptions, tied for 5th in the NFL, and 6 fumble recoveries, tied for 4th. Their +9 turnover differential ranks 2nd in the league. For the Ravens to succeed, Lamar needs to protect the ball, ensuring every possession counts. Next, the Ravens must pressure the quarterback. Last week against Cincinnati, Baltimore's defense showcased its ability to disrupt opposing QBs, pressuring Joe Burrow on 43.3% of his dropbacks, the second highest rate he's faced this season. Justin Madubuike was a standout performer, tallying 3 sacks and 7 quarterback pressures. The Steelers' offense has struggled under pressure, and Baltimore's ability to bring the heat could be the difference maker on Sunday. The third key is discipline. Last year, the Ravens didn't just lose to Pittsburgh, they beat themselves. A series of critical errors, including fumbles, penalties, and turnovers, handed the Steelers opportunities they shouldn't have had. This year, penalties remain a problem. Baltimore leads the league with 95 penalties for 683 yards, the worst in the NFL. Against a disciplined Steelers team in a hostile environment, the Ravens can't afford to give away free yards. Cleaning up the mistakes is non-negotiable.
Finally, the Ravens need to capitalize on their offensive strengths while staying aggressive on defense. Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and the rest of Baltimore's playmakers have the potential to exploit a Steelers defense that has shown cracks, particularly in the secondary. But they can't let off the gas. This is Pittsburgh. In a game like this, every yard matters, every point counts, and every mistake will be magnified. As for predictions, the host is confident in the Ravens' ability to pull out a win, calling for a 27-21 Baltimore victory. It won't be easy, but with a clean, disciplined performance and the ability to pressure Pittsburgh's quarterback effectively, the Ravens can leave Pittsburgh with a hard-fought win. Now it's your turn, Ravens fans. What's your prediction for tomorrow's game? Do you think Baltimore can finally turn the tide against Pittsburgh and prove they're the better team? Drop your score predictions in the comments and let us know how you see this epic rivalry playing out. And don't forget to join the live stream tomorrow at noon Eastern for real-time analysis and game day hype. This is Ravens Steelers. It doesn't get any better than this. Let's hear your thoughts. The Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers are set to clash in Week 11, rekindling one of the NFL's most storied rivalries. As the AFC North heats up, Both teams come into this game with plenty at stake and plenty to prove. The Ravens are looking for revenge after their Week 5 loss to the Steelers, but injuries and player availability are already shaping the narrative leading into Sunday's game. Let's dive into everything you need to know, starting with one of the biggest question marks for Baltimore, Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, Baltimore's Swiss Army knife in the secondary, has been the talk of the week after suffering what initially appeared to be a serious injury during the game against the Cleveland Browns. Footage showed his ankle twisting awkwardly after getting tangled under an opponent, raising concerns about his availability for Week 11. However, there's good news for Ravens fans. The injury is not as severe as it looked, and Hamilton has a shot at playing against Pittsburgh. As of Wednesday, Hamilton was not practicing but was seen working with trainers on a side field in workout gear. This suggests he's staying active but isn't quite ready for full participation yet. Head coach John Harbaugh has a decision to make, but it'll likely come down to Friday's injury report to determine if Hamilton can suit up. Hamilton's impact on the Ravens' defense cannot be overstated. He's versatile, athletic, and critical to Baltimore's pass coverage. Whether he's blitzing, covering deep zones, or patrolling the middle of the field, he elevates the unit's floor and ceiling. Without him, the secondary has struggled, and the difference between Hamilton and his backup, Darius Washington, is significant. Even if Hamilton plays, he might be limited, but his toughness has been evident all season. He's played through injuries before that many thought would sideline him for weeks. If he's on the field Sunday, expect him to play a pivotal role in trying to contain Pittsburgh's offense. Speaking of injuries, the Steelers have a few concerns of their own, though they appear to be in better shape overall. Edge rusher Alex Highsmith is the biggest name on their injury list, and his absence would be a blow to Pittsburgh's defense. However, rookie Nick Herbig practiced in full on Wednesday and looks ready to go, adding some depth to the Steelers' pass rush. Najee Harris, dealing with an ankle issue, didn't practice midweek, but that's par for the course. Harris often skips practices to manage his workload and is expected to play. Other minor injuries, like Deontay Johnson's hamstring issue, don't seem to be major concerns, meaning Pittsburgh will likely field a relatively healthy roster. For the Ravens, the injury situation is shockingly manageable compared to years past. Baltimore has often been plagued with long injury lists resembling a CVS receipt, but this season's Week 11 report features just a handful of names. Key players like Keaton Mitchell, who recently came off injured reserve, and Isaiah Likely, who missed last week's game with a hamstring injury, are back in practice and should contribute on Sunday. Veteran defensive lineman Brent Urban has cleared concussion protocols, and Travis Jones, who has been nursing an ankle injury, looked strong in last week's game against Cincinnati. Michael Pierce remains on injured reserve and will miss the game, which is a loss in the middle of Baltimore's defensive line. Still, with most of the roster intact, this is one of the healthiest squads Baltimore has fielded in November in recent memory. Now it's your turn, Ravens flock. How do you feel about Kyle Hamilton's chances of playing this week? Can the Ravens offense get off to a fast start and finally capitalize on their opportunities? And, most importantly, what's your favorite rivalry moment between Baltimore and Pittsburgh? Let us know in the comments below.